part, that is, we too are human beings. Now, before moving on, I would like to do a certain recap about what is there about these two stories that they had to be combined together to make two parts of a single chapter titled Memories of Childhood. All right. So, this chapter, Memories of Childhood, it contains two extracts from two different autobiographical episodes from the lives of two women, namely Zitkala Sa and Bama. Both are victims of social discriminations, as I told you yesterday. Zitkala Sa is the victim of racial discrimination, whereas Bama is the victim of caste discrimination. In both the extracts, the writer looks back on their childhood and reflects on their relationship with the mainstream culture, which ill-treated them when they were but a child. But both accounts are not simple narratives of oppression. Rather, they reveal how oppression was resisted by both the narrators in their own ways. Zitkala Sa and Bama were very young, but not so young that they would not understand the evil scheme of mainstream culture. The injustice of their society did not escape their notice too. Their bitter childhood experiences sowed the seeds of rebellion in them earlier on. All right, so like I said, these two ladies in their early childhood days, namely Zitkala Sa and Bama, they had to face discrimination at a different level, all right? One was racial discrimination and the other was caste discrimination. In the case of Zitkala Sa, it was racial discrimination because she belonged to a Native American race and she was oppressed by the white Americans who had colonized her continent. The other case is about caste discrimination, which we have read a lot, which was very prevalent in Indian society, and I believe in some rural part it still is. All right, so this is the reason why these two stories are combined together, because these are stories of oppression, racial oppression and caste oppression. Now, the first part was done thoroughly yesterday. Now, today we are moving to the second part, that is, We Too Are Human Beings by Bama. And even this part of the story is from a larger volume of write-up which she had done, all right? This is a part of her autobiography, and this is just a small excerpt from it which highlights the part where she learned of what discrimination was and why they were being discriminated upon. And so moving on to the lesson, that is the text. When I was studying in the third class, I hadn't yet heard people speak openly of untouchability, but I had already seen, felt, experienced, and been humiliated by what it is. I was walking home from school one day, an old bag hanging from my shoulder. It was actually possible to walk the distance in 10 minutes. But usually it would take me 30 minutes at the very least to reach home. It would take me from half an hour to an hour to dawdle along, watching all the fun and games that were going on, all the entertaining novelties and oddities in the streets, the shop and the bazaar. So the narrator tells us that she was very young, all right, when she did not know the concept of what untouchability was, but then she had seen it happening all around her. And when she was very young, and even in the third grade even, she talks about an episode that had taken place in her life. She was returning home from school, all right, and she lived quite nearby, hardly 10 minutes. Hinde goye ne bani, it would have taken her just 10 minutes. But then it didn't. It took her from half an hour to an hour to reach her place, because she used to take her own sweet time while roaming the bazaar or the marketplace. And why did it take her a half an hour to an hour just to roam the marketplace is explained in the forthcoming para. The performing monkey, the snake, which the snake charmer kept in its box and displayed from time to time. The cyclist who had not got off his bike for 3 days, who had kept pedaling as hard as he could from break of day. The rupee notes that were pinned onto his shirt to spur him on, and the spinning wheels. The Mariatta temple, the huge bell hanging there, the pongal offering being cooked in front of the temple, the dried fish stall by the statue of Gandhi, the sweet stall, the stall selling fried snacks, and all the other shops next to each other. The street light always demonstrating how it could change from blue to violet. The Narikuravan hunter gypsy with his wild lemu in cages, selling needles, clay beads, and instruments for cleaning of the ears. Oh, I could go on and on. Each thing would pull me to a standstill and not allow me to go any further. So she explains, all right, why she was caught up in the marketplace. As a child, all the scenes in the marketplace, it fascinated her, and there was a lot to see, all right. There were performing monkeys, there were snake charmers, there were sweet shops, there were dried fish stalls, the temples where the religious ceremonies would be going on, where offerings would be made. And so, at each stall, she had to stop for a few minutes, and that is why it took her half an hour to an hour just to reach a place which was hardly 10 minutes away. Even otherwise, there were the coffee clubs in the bazaar. The way each waiter cooled the coffee, lifting a tumbler high up and pouring its content into a tumbler held in the other hand. Or the way some people sat in front of the shops chopping up onions, their eyes turned elsewhere so that they would not smart. Or the almond tree growing there and its fruit which was occasionally blown down by the wind. All these sights taken together would tether my legs and stop me from going home. So she says, if not even for the performing monkeys and all, there were many other things to see. Like even a coffee shop was a form of entertainment for her. For the man selling coffee, he would take one cup of coffee in a tumbler, all right, in a jug, and to cool it off, he would lift the jug high and then pour the contents to another tumbler from a height. So the action of the coffee being cooled was entertainment for her as well. And then there was a person who was chopping up onions, and he was looking elsewhere while chopping the onions. Ek pati herera, ek pati pyaz kardasa, but he's looking the other way so that his eyes do not get smart, all right? His eyes do not get hurt while cutting onions. Now, where are we?